viewers of Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch have. Recently, however, fans are starting to grow concerned about the TV personality's well-being. Many are taking to social media to ask what's happening to Duane. Ollinger originally worked as a high-risk oil contractor. He eventually sold his company, moving on to mining in the Utah mountains. He has since become a prominent part of Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch, alongside his son, Chad. During Ollinger's time at Blind Frog Ranch, he's uncovered a series of underground caverns running underneath the property. As seen in the series, he now believes that a lost treasure is hidden in the area, which locals feared had been cursed. On the Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch debunked Facebook page, fans aspire to have an honest discussion of the pure nonsense associated with the Discovery show. Recently, however, one fan asked if Duane had surgery on his head. In the comments, one fan noted, "He doesn't look well," and covers his throat in every episode. Another commented on this, saying, "Looks real bad compared to season 3. Bent over, real thin, and shaky." The user teased a supernatural explanation, suggesting it was probably those cursed beads. Some have suggested Duane's possible health problems were hinted at on the show. One commenter noted, "I could tell he wasn't looking that well, and a couple episodes ago it was mentioned that he had health issues." One suspicion among fans was that he could be suffering from throat cancer. As one fan wrote, "I'm thinking since he covers up his neck and kinda stiff and voice is a little off that maybe he had throat cancer and surgery." Other suggestions ranged from chemotherapy treatments to back surgeries. Regarding the latter, one fan noted, "I've noticed how he turns his whole upper body when he could just turn his head." Another common suggestion was a case of gout. In the end, however, fans still hope that Duane can overcome whatever is ailing him. As one fan wrote, "It seems like he's throwing everything he can at finding what's on BFR as a legacy. No holds barred." On his end, Duane and his son Chad recently wished fans good health in the upcoming year in a post on the Blind Frog Ranch Instagram page. As the caption read, "Duane and Chad Ollinger and the whole BFR crew wishing you a happy, healthy, safe, and prosperous new year. A big thank you to all of our fans for your loyalty and support. Cheers to each one of YOU. Have you been following Duane and Chad Ollinger on Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch? Make sure you come back to TV Shows Ace for all the latest reality TV and celebrity news." Whispers swirl in fan forums late into the night, digital lanterns flickering amidst piles of speculation. Ever since Mystery at Blind Frog Ranch premiered, Duane Ollinger has held viewers spellbound. A Texan oilman turned treasure hunter, digging into the earth of the Uinta Basin in Utah. Yet lately, these whispers have shifted from fascination to apprehension, as fans scrutinize every frame for signs of a man grappling with his own mortality. The earliest glimmers of concern began innocuously enough. Discussions emerging on a Facebook debunking page, where viewers compared memory to memory. The costume he wore more than once. The way he seemed to crane his neck, as if shielding that critical region from view. The slowness in his gait. One fan raised a question. Had surgery left its mark on his head? Another expressed dread. "I think he's deathly ill." These aren't the words of casual distraction. They are steeped in fear. Fans pointed out a repetitive physical gesture, a hand hovering near his throat, as though protecting or hiding something. Combined with the rigid spring in his stage presence and the subtle rasp of his voice, conjecture about throat cancer began to take hold. More alarming still were comments dwelling on his posture. Bent over, real thin, and shaky. The man who once stood tall behind his hammer, trusting his grit and frame, now appeared fragile, etched by time and toil. Comments across platforms echoed similar observations. Muscle tone fading, movements slowed, last vestiges of strength slipping away. Then came a more unsettling claim. He had a stroke. Someone posted, not as speculation, but as statement. A commenter noted, with grim clarity and personal candor, "I had 2 or 3 strokes. Doctors described me as a miracle," coupling empathy with an unspoken plea. "Please, Duane, take care of yourself." Still, amid this swirl of worry, flickers of faith remained. A voice of hope, half alive, not half dead, it read, offering reassurance not only to Duane, but to all who watched him. Even when speculation took dramatic detours into radiation, into the realm of UFOs and invisible forces, fans clung to a sentiment of compassionate concern. Through the hush that followed, Duane's presence evolved, monitored by loyal eyes, analyzed frame by frame, marker by marker. The once relentless explorer, whose calloused hands moved through machinery with flair, was now under a different kind of lens, one sharpened by worry, blurred by uncertainty. The once resilient oilman seemed to hold his weight through force of will, barely holding still. Notes of past optimism now contrasted starkly. Episodes spoke in passing of health issues, but details were sparse. Some fans wondered if earlier mentions about a ranch-based healing center, once a quirky aside, might hold weight. Had that pond truly possessed restorative power? Or was that promise now hollow in the face of real struggle? And so, the mythic gold-hunting ranch became a stage not just for strange footprints and odd energies, but for a slow erosion of the focal figure, Duane. A public reckoning, played out not in bold headlines or press releases, but forested through faint keystrokes and midnight worries. In the absence of words, viewers read. They read his pose, his weight, his gait, each nuance interpreted. They read between glimpses of his social media, updates on a new ranch in New Mexico with Navajo Rangers, shots of mysterious engravings and footprints, promises of big things for Season 3. These gestures carried unease, now shaded with longing. For reassurance, for normalcy, for the return of the sturdy figure who once beat back the darkness with a torch. What does a treasure hunter become when the treasure in question is health itself? Duane's fans pause to ask, will he continue? Can he push on? Or is the final frontier no longer the cavern floor, but the brittle edge of life's fragile balance? The emotion around him is complex. Some react with melancholic humor, drawn to dark jokes about a hushed illness or a final chapter not yet penned. Others press forward in guarded optimism. Maybe this is just exhaustion, not serious illness. They hold photo stills as evidence, moments where he looks the same, behaves like he always did, a silent nod to resilience. But stronger still is the burgeoning worry that the man who made myth real would suffer in silence. That he would continue, not for the land, not even for the treasure, but because stopping is harder than moving. And fans, who gave him their hearts, are now heartbroken that he may carry this burden alone. Many await his return to discovery, to hear any reassurance, beyond a forced smile, beyond a screen. They wait for signs that he's more than a spectral presence. They await a return to the man who once daringly declared his quest was worth every sacrifice. In every posted image, his new haircut in a wetsuit, artifacts in hand, the same stubborn stance. Fans look, search, wish. Each post is a breadcrumb, a pulse. Each wrinkle or pause is noted, weighed. Even gossip becomes a prayer. Stroke, cancer, back surgery. Even when rooted in hearsay, the collective concern becomes a soft mass of compassion. Fans who once clustered around gold and mystery now gravitate toward hope. The greatest treasure they yearn for is Duane's recovery, or at least, a glimpse of his clarity and vigor again. As season 3 inches closer, delayed by weather, by filming, by circumstances beyond anyone's control, the question isn't where the treasure lies, but whether the traveler is still with us. The show's return has been teased, the artifacts shared, the anticipation built. But behind every image of pyramids or portals, fans hold their breath with something heavier, hope that they'll see the resilient man they've come to root for, whole again. For now, the voices continue. Worried, weirdly tender, mostly silent. In pixel and post, in comment and capture, they gather, grasping not for gold, but for solace. And through these digital murmurs, they hold out for Duane's return, steady, strong, and still digging, in body as much as spirit. The desert winds once carried the whispers of treasure, secrets buried beneath the red rock, and riddles carved into the Utah soil. Now, those same winds seem to carry something else entirely, a more sobering kind of mystery. Not about gold or lost civilizations, but about a man. A figure once so fixed in strength and determination, now seen through a lens clouded by uncertainty and concern. Duane Ollinger has never been a stranger to mystery. As the driving force behind mystery at Blind Frog Ranch, he built a world suspended between fact and folklore, science and speculation. Viewers tuned in by the thousands, not just for the promise of buried treasure, but to follow a man who defied reason and fear to chase something bigger than himself. But now, the fans who once speculated about alien relics and forbidden tunnels have turned their focus toward something far more grounded, Duane's health. This concern didn't arrive like a sudden thunderstorm. It gathered slowly, like clouds on a dry horizon.